Hey, and we are live. What's up, everybody? Oh, you know what? I didn't double check. I might as well do this. We're good. Audio's good. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Own the Chaos. My name is Brad. The stock market is crazy and chaotic, and I made it my mission to help you guys own it. The audio is working, the video is working, and it is going to be a really good day. We got Alphabet, aka Google, Chipotle, Enphase, Microsoft, Visa, and a ton more that are going to be reporting earnings today after hours in about 14 minutes. It's going to be an absolutely insane day for earnings. It's always big when these stocks are reporting, and it's going to continue out throughout this week. So make sure you're hitting that like button on your way in the door, subscribe, and hit that notification bell because I will go live, as I always do, Monday through Thursday at 3:45 p.m. Eastern time to cover those earnings for tomorrow as well. We got Meta platforms on the docket, all kinds of other big names as well. I can't wait to react to those. How are you guys doing? Let me give the starting five a shout out here. I got Jonathan Schreiber, Steve B, Philip Stroh, Nick B, Bodie Beard. You guys are our starting five. If you did not hit that starting five, again, make sure you know when I go live and be here first, or at least in the top five, and you might get a shout out. We also have Shit or Legit coming up later in the show. So if you guys want me to react to your favorite stock, or maybe a stock that you want to know is shit or legit, put SOL and your favorite and that ticker in the chat. Would love to have you guys put that in there. We can react to that later after the earnings come out today. Don Fran, what is up, my man? I see you. How's Brad getting interrupted today? Beer or shootout? Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know what's going to be happening. I appreciate you looking out for me, Gerardo. I appreciate that. So, what are we most excited about today? We have the poll here that I put out in the chat. Looks like 45% of you so far are most excited about Google, Microsoft, Chipotle, Enphase, and in that order. So keep the votes coming in. We'll check back in on that later. There's 81 of you guys in here already. I think it's going to be a big stream. I can't wait. So make sure you're hitting that like and subscribe button, guys. Right now, the market has been in absolute turmoil. A lot of it as a result of what we heard from Walmart. If you guys didn't catch last night's stream, we did react to that live as well. Walmart came in and basically downgraded their outlook, and it really kind of killed the market. Walmart was down as much as 8% today. Right now, the S&P is down around 51 points, which is good for 1 1/3%. The Dow's down 267 points, is good for 0.8%. NASDAQ's also down a lot more than those two at 2%. It's down 241 points. And then really, it's right across the board. Oil was up on the day, and then it actually ended up closing down $1.74 down to 94.96. There's your stats for there. Feds tomorrow also, yeah, that probably had something to do with it, Philip Stroh. It is one of those things where I think there's a lot of fear in the market right now on what the Fed's going to do. At the end of the day, I mean, who knows? The Fed could come in and really surprise a lot of people and come in with a rate hike that isn't as bad as people thought, or maybe they give a less hawkish tone. They're noticing that, stocks are coming down, or equities, and that their rate hikes are impacting it. Remember, the Fed said 2.5% was the rate they were going for. With this 75-point rate hike, that's what we will be getting ourselves at tomorrow, if that's indeed what we get. I think that's probably what's going to happen. 2.5% is what we're going to get to, 75 basis points. I would be surprised if we got 100 points tomorrow. I mean, anything can happen, obviously. They can do what they want, but I would just be surprised if we saw that. That's all. All right, let's check in on some of the expectations for today. We got Alphabet right now that's actually down another 2.5%, and it's down a ton since those Snap earnings. If you guys caught yesterday's short, I had mentioned that this one has been in some pretty deep trouble. So you can see that actually this is moving down. Broke through that trend. The expectations here for Alphabet are I got it. $1.30 and $69.99 billion. So about $70 billion in revenue for the quarter. Just unbelievable numbers for Alphabet. And the one thing that I hammered home yesterday that I thought was worth noting. Now, this isn't me saying that Alphabet's going to go well above and beyond after earnings. I'm sure there's probably cause for concern here, but nevertheless, I just think it's an absolute joke to look at Snap's earnings and somehow compare them to what's going to happen to Alphabet or even Meta platforms for that matter. Snap, Twitter, and even Pinterest to a certain degree are no match for Alphabet's ability for advertising or Meta platforms. Those are just uh, far and above what the smaller social media platforms are. And to me, I just don't think that that's indicative of what we'll see from Alphabet. I am of the mindset that Alphabet actually comes in and surprises on those expectations. It wouldn't it wouldn't shock me to see $1.70 or $1.50 compared to what's expected at $1.30. And I think that they could even come in a little bit higher on advertising spend, because the point that I was trying to make yesterday was, if I'm going to shrink my ad spend budget, it's not going to be on old reliables such as Alphabet or Meta. It's going to be Snap, right? Snap. My ROI isn't going to be as great on Snap as it would be on something like Alphabet or Facebook or Meta, what have you. So yeah. Jen Rosen makes an interesting comment. That's why fundamentals don't work in a downtrend. I got news for you. They don't work in an uptrend sometimes too. I mean, it's like we forgot about all the insane valuations we saw over the pandemic, right? Zoom was trading what, 90 some times sales. So yeah, it goes both ways. Anyways, so there's Alphabet. Next one we have is Microsoft. That's going to be reporting. Go and pull up that chart. So you have Microsoft, and they're another one of the fangs. Obviously, earnings per share coming in at $2.30. $52 billion in revenues expected here. This is going to be interesting as well. I think one of the key things for them is that going to be with the Azure platform. How are they doing there? We're seeing some pretty impressive growth there still, even in a slowdown, where the Azure growth, the cloud side of their business, is really just starting to take over and actually really starting to make a dent in, with what AWS has got going on. So we'll see what we're going to hear from Microsoft. That's your expectations there. The stock's down 25% year to date. I think at some point we will see a turnaround. I'm not quite sure we're going to see that here. One of the big reasons as well, I think the headline causes for concern is the strong dollar. And Microsoft was one of the first ones to actually speak to that. So I think that that's going to be a potential headwind, but we'll see. We'll see. Okay. Right. Next one we have is Enphase. Enphase is a popular one right now. It's actually green on the year. It's up 17.5%. Let's pull that up. Enphase is doing extremely well. This is actually one of the few renewable energy plays that actually is extremely profitable as well. I don't think that this is a sell, in my opinion. It's definitely gotten a little crazy. The expected earnings per share, though, could warrant, or the earnings could warrant paying for that premium, though. You're looking at this, it's 84 cents is the expectation, earnings per share, $504 million, obviously far smaller than what we were just talking about with Google and Microsoft. Nevertheless, though, you look at some of the other solar or renewable energy type companies, and I'm talking about Plug Power, Charge Point, some of the other ones that we've talked about here on this channel. And Enphase is one of the few that is as profitable as they are. They're based out of Fremont, California, and this is one of the few as well that's actually green on the year. As I had mentioned, 17% year to date, so far outperforming the overall market, and it's doing incredibly well. So excited to see those earnings this afternoon too. Next, we got Visa. This is going to be interesting to watch. This is one of the first credit card companies that are going to be reporting here, and we'll see how spending's doing, consumer spending, and how much consumers are bringing down their balances on their credit cards too. Are they paying them off all off at the end of the month, or is credit limits going up? And we've seen preliminarily that consumers are taking on more and more debt over the last 6 or 7 months. So that's going to continue to be the trend. But I want to see, are they delinquent on credit card payments, that sort of thing, that's going to hurt Visa? Or is it that demand is still very strong and it's just all systems go? The stock's down only around 3.8% on the year, still outperforming the S&P 500. Expected earnings per share for Visa is $1.74, $7.06 billion in revenue. So we'll see what happens with that. Then finally, we have Chipotle. And this one has just been steady as she goes, right? Like this has been a really good stock. And now, I mean, I'm talking about just earnings wise. The stock continues to crush it. It talks, it's moved down with the rest of the market, but it does beat earnings almost every time. $9.04 earnings per share, $2.24 billion in revenue is the expectation there. And I think that Chipotle could very easily beat those earnings based off of some of the consumer numbers that we're seeing, retail spend. I don't think that we're going to see too much of a drop off. Now the stock is down 22%, so right in line with the overall market and the S&P for the year. But to me, I think that this is going to be an interesting one to watch because we want to see the spend here. We want to see what's going on with the consumer, and the innovation with what Chipotle has been doing is also really impressive too. So of all the food companies, McDonald's, we're going to be, we heard from McDonald's this morning. And I think that Chipotle could actually outperform McDonald's this quarter. We'll see. This is also a very interesting one. Melanie said that Chipotle could split, and they could. I wonder if they would follow along with that. My hunch is they probably won't. And the only reason I say that is if it were me, I wouldn't. Because it hasn't done Google any favors, hasn't really done Amazon any favors, right? And I guess maybe Apple's moved some, but really not a lot. So I think I don't know. I guess I wouldn't be shocked, Melanie. You bring up a good point. I wouldn't be shocked if we saw some sort of split from Chipotle, but I guess my big question would be why? Don says I go to Chipotle way more than McDonald's. Same, bro. Same. I appreciate this. Latin Trini says, thanks for the earnings release. Some brightness to this bad day. For sure. So folks can't afford groceries, but Chipotle going to blow out earnings? I didn't say they were going to blow out earnings. I said they were going to beat earnings. And have you not paying it? People like this don't pay attention to the macro environment. Nobody saw the retail numbers over the last month, huh? Or at least Josh didn't. Think before you post shit, man. All right. What do we got? Let me check back in with the poll. 49% of you guys are most excited about Google. So Google's staying in the lead here. 24%. Chipotle is at 13% and Enphase is at 14%. So in that order. It was like the order that I wrote it. Mazda says I got bad feelings about Google. We will see. Alan's account is down 10% this week. Yikes. Housekeeping says I'm too broke to eat out. I got so many jokes about that right now. I'm going to leave that one alone. I'm going to leave that one alone. Oh, man. Doesn't splits invite more people to short them? I guess it invites people to do more either way. It doesn't benefit short sellers or people who go long either way. So I'm glad I'm not the only one, Snookeroo. Ad blocks will affect Google. So this is actually something interesting. This is something interesting that I think is, the conversation has been this for a while. And, talking about Apple in particular with ad blocks. I hope you're not talking about generic, generally speaking, because ad blocks have been around forever. But the Apple situation is certainly a topic of conversation that's continued to be top of mind for quite a while. So we will certainly hear what Google has to say about that. But really, Alphabet has had a pretty decent relationship with Apple as far as that's concerned. They basically paid to play, so they weren't impacted nearly as much as something like, for example, a Facebook or Meta Platforms was. Right now, there isn't a whole lot of movement here on Alphabet as the market is officially closed. Microsoft, let's take a look. As if their numbers are out. We go ahead and pull them up. Stock did just tank and then now moving way back up. It looks like it's trying to go green. We'll see. Get these numbers here, and it is going green now. It looked like it tanked like what 2-3% right out the gate, and then has now started to go green here after hours. Let's see what those numbers are. So it looks like they might have missed. And I see some of you guys already chiming in on there. I appreciate it, but I always like to make sure that I am cross-referencing. So it looks like Microsoft came in and missed $2.23 versus a $2.30 estimate. Revenue came in at $51.9 billion. If you recall, the expectation was at 52.47. So they missed on both earnings per share and revenue. A little bit of a surprise there. We'll see what the outlook looks like here on Microsoft, but those are your numbers on earnings per share and revenue. They missed. Now the stock went red, went green again, and now down back to red. It's down around 2.5%. It's actually down at 246. We come back out to the daily chart, and you can kind of see where 246 is, which is right at this support. So we'll see if it holds there, and it doesn't look like it's going to. It's now down another it's down 3%, sitting around 245. So next area for that is around 242 for the next support. And these are going to be some pretty tough numbers for Microsoft. Let's go ahead and see if we have any more outlook on that. Could be why the selling is accelerating here. Let's go back to the 5-minute chart so you can see what's going on. All right. Cloud strength drives the fourth quarter results. Microsoft announced the following results for the quarter, as I'd mentioned: $51.9 billion, an increase up 12% for revenue. Operating income was $20.5 billion and increased 8%. Net income was 16.7 and increased 2%, and diluted earnings per share was 223. So they missed on earnings per share expectations, and they also missed on revenue. Let's check in on some other stuff that's also reporting here, and we can come back to that. Chipotle doesn't look like those numbers are out just yet. Alphabet is now, looks like we got a boner candle on Alphabet here. Stock is ripping after hours. Listen, when I know, I know. When I have a gut feeling about something, that's a lie. It doesn't always play out. I was trying to take credit for this, but I'm not. I won't do it. But the stock is moving pretty nicely here. Closed the day $105 per share. It was actually down 2.5%, and that was up another 2% here after hours. It was up quite a bit, sitting at 109.69, which is far higher than the high of the day today. Expectations for this on Alphabet were $1.30, $69.99 billion, and those numbers are coming in just a second. It looks as if they missed. But I want to confirm. I know I see a lot of you guys in the chat already putting out numbers, but I just want to make sure that I'm double checking, doing my own due diligence, practicing what I'm preaching. So let's see here. Looks like they came in at $1.21. Is that right? $1.21 and then 69.69 billion. Now come on. Is that right? $69.69 billion. Who's their accountant? Give that guy a raise. I think the actual number is 69.98. So here we go. Alphabet $1.21. They missed the $1.32 estimate. Sales came in at 69.98 billion. They missed the expectation there was at 69.99. Some people were expecting 70.35. But those are your numbers. So they missed as well. If the stock's still going up, I'm curious to see why. Let's see if we can find some guidance numbers as well on Alphabet. This is still ripping. It's now up 4% after hours and still climbing here. Alphabet making a hell of a move. This is very interesting to see this kind of develop right now. What a move on that. Nice little move on Alphabet on an earnings miss and a revenue miss. 69.69 billion is what I keep seeing. Maybe that's why the stock's going up. People just saw 69.69 and then it was like boner candle. Appreciate this, Mike Hudson. The buy alert was sent today for the OTC investment account today. So we have buy alerts, we have trade alerts, I should say, that are developed by Mr. Hudson himself in our Chaos Crew community. So go hit that join button next to subscribe, or go to the ownthechaos.com or stockwatchsunday.com. The links are in the description. Go check that out if you guys want to become part of the crew. We have 525 of you guys in here, and I appreciate each and every one of you coming in and tuning in. We got 63 likes, though, which I feel is kind of like weak sauce. So if you all could just hit that thumbs up, help support the stream. If you're enjoying the content that's coming out right now, I certainly would appreciate it. And it doesn't take a whole lot of effort. Doesn't cost you a whole lot. Just click the little thumbs up. I would appreciate it. All right. So let's see here. There's your Google numbers. They missed on earnings per share, $1.21, $69.69 billion in revenue. We're just going to stick with that. I don't even care if it's right. That's hilarious. So we have Microsoft. They also came in and missed. In on a couple other ones that are reporting today. Visa also reporting. That stock is up after hours. Talked about that one just before the market closed. Visa, really nice move on this one, and it is off the chart. Another boner candle here. Pretty strong move there. The expectations for Visa was $1.74, $7.06 billion in revenue. I mean, that is a ton of money. 7.06. Let's see here. Trying to pull those numbers. As soon as they come in, I will be happy to share those with you. Like I say, I always try to make sure that I am cross-referencing and try to make sure I'm giving out good and accurate information. So I see some people talking about it in the chat. I just want to make sure that I have my numbers correct before I just go ahead and toss them out there. What a show today so far, guys. Almost 600 of you hanging in here. I like this. Josh Schuler says, I just remember good news is bad. Fed locked and loaded. Yeah. I think there's a certain level of, expectations here. It's like, even though they missed, there could be some, it's so bad, it's good. Maybe they didn't miss as bad as the street thought that they were going to miss by. There's always those whispers and stuff. And so that could be one big reason why. Not saying that it is. Visa came in and beat $1.98 was the actual earnings per share. $1.74 was, if you recall, was the estimate. Sales also came in, revenue $7.28 billion. They beat by $7.06 billion, which is why I was talking about their retail numbers. Retail is doing pretty damn good. And so last June, the retail sales numbers came out. They were higher than expected, and it's being reflected in something like Visa. Not too much of a shock here, but that's a pretty strong beat. $1.98 versus $1.74 estimate, $7.28 billion in revenue versus $7.06 billion that was expected. So pretty solid beat there. Q3 payment volumes was up 12%. Cross-border volume, excluding intra-Europe, was up 48%. Processed transactions were up 16%. This is some pretty good numbers here. Net revenue, as I mentioned, around $7.3 billion. GAAP net income, 3.4. And this is all good stuff. All good stuff for Visa, which is why the stock's being rewarded now up 3% after hours. Payment volume for the 3 months ended in June 30th, 2022, increased 12% year over year on a constant dollar basis. Cross-border volume, excluding transactions within Europe, as I'd mentioned, was up 48%. And that is a really good quarter for Visa. Stock's looking great here, guys. I prefer, out of all of these, I think that American Express is probably the better one to own. That's just my opinion. I love Josh poking fun in here. Of course, Visa B, all the consumers are burning up credit cards. Josh, do you know how credit cards make money? Just out of curiosity. How about you tell the class? I'm just going to keep fucking with him. All right. Chipotle. Let's take a look at Chipotle's numbers. CMG is now up 5.5%. Remember, I think it was someone else. Maybe this was Josh. Josh, I hope you weren't short on Chipotle. Chipotle is very, very doing very well, very good here. Let's take a look at those. Boom, now up 6.5%. Came in at $9.30. Beats the $9.05 estimate. Remember somebody was saying about not being able to afford groceries? Why would they buy Chipotle? Because it's damn good. $9.30, $9.05 was the estimate. Sales came in at $2.21 billion. They missed a $2.24 billion estimate on revenue, but the earnings per share was damn good. Crushed it. Stocks up, was up 6.5%. Now giving it back a little bit, just a little. Nope, just kidding. Still going up. Still going up. I tried telling you. That's hilarious, Josh. I love how you're playing along, man. I love how you're playing along. Those are you're like my favorite types of viewers. I just love being able to fuck with people. Okay. Because Chipotle's the shit, says Alan Roth. Yes, absolutely. Hit that like button, guys. So if you guys are just tuning in, just a recap here. Microsoft came in and missed on earnings per share. They also missed on revenue. And the stock is now down about 1.33%. It was down as much as 3% after hours. And so it's starting to claw its way back a little bit. I'll come back and give some more numbers as they come in. But those are your preliminary numbers on that. They missed on earnings per share, missed on revenue. Alphabet came in and also missed, but the stock is now up after hours. I'm sure this has a lot to do with maybe perhaps guidance, what have you. We'll see where that goes, but that's your preliminary numbers on Alphabet as well. Chipotle came in and beat on earnings per share. Just slightly on revenue. Stock's now up nearly 7% after hours. That is an insane move. Then Visa comes in and crushes it. Absolutely crushes it. Here's the thing about Visa. Just a little lesson. Yes, they consumers have been running up credit on their credit cards, but the only way Visa makes money is if people pay them back with interest. People are paying them back with interest, and now they're making money. So, okay. Let's see here. Enphase also reporting earnings today. Let's take a look. This is one of my favorite renewable energy plays. Now that's up 6.5%. I talked this one up here before earnings came out this afternoon. I really like this stock. Not surprising to see this up here after hours. Revenue came in at $530.2 million. The estimate was at 504.5. $1.07 came in on their earnings per share. The expectation there was 84 cents. Absolutely annihilated earnings. The stock's now up 6.5%. Guidance here for Q3 revenue will be within a range of 590 to 630 million, which includes shipments of 130 to 145 megawatt hours of Enphase IQ batteries. That's a shit ton of energy. GAAP gross margin to be within a range of 38 to 41%, and operating expenses within a range of 137 million to 141 million. And that is a solid quarter for Enphase. Absolutely ripping here. Looks amazing. Can't be too upset about that. Our revenue, this is from Enphase quoting here per the report for Q2. Our revenue in Europe for the second quarter of 2022 increased by 69%. Man, everybody's throwing out 69 today. Compared to the first quarter of 2022, led by strong growth in the Netherlands and Germany. This shouldn't be shocking to anybody, and this is only going to continue to grow. Let me repeat that. This isn't year over year, so let me just repeat this. Our revenue in Europe for the second quarter of 2022 increased 69% compared to the first quarter of 2022, led by strong growth in the Netherlands and Germany. Month over a month, they grew 70%. That is insane. That's insane. And that's only gonna go up from here. We've talked about this a lot, and we'll come back and recap some of the other earnings, but that to me is just the tip of the iceberg as far as growth concerned in Europe. We're talking more sanctions that haven't even been implemented in Russia just yet. They're not going to go into effect until December. So Europe, and I'm talking Germany, whose all of their natural gas comes from Russia because somebody thought that was a good idea. And so now what? Now they have to rely on other forms of energy, and it looks as if Enphase is a huge part of that. So 70% quarter over quarter growth just this year in Europe and Germany and the Netherlands in particular. This story isn't done. This is going to keep going. I'm not telling you to just go dump everything in the Enphase, but this isn't the end of the story for them. They're still going to grow there, and it wouldn't surprise me if we saw numbers like that this quarter and even going into next quarter as well. As we get into closer to December, when those sanctions are actually going to be imposed on Russia and the colder months come along, they're going to need Enphase more than ever. So I just kind of wanted to address that real quick, but this is actually really, really, really good stuff. Charles Riley says the missus ain't throwing out 69s tonight. Sorry to hear that, bud. Sorry. Oh shit, that's hilarious. I love you guys. All right, let's see. Just a couple more numbers on Microsoft. Let's check back in on that stock right now. If you guys recall, if you were here at the top of the show, Microsoft, missed earnings. The stock's down now only 1%. It actually sold off around 3%. And is starting to bounce back on earnings missed. They missed on revenue, also missed on earnings per share. Azure from Microsoft did grow pretty significantly. It's up 40% year over year. And we talked about that being a highlight of the earnings. This is also interesting from Alphabet's, with them reporting that their cloud services also grew 35% year over year. And so this could mean, in my opinion, that Amazon could also come in with a pretty solid quarter year over year, and that stock's now up 1%. So if you guys aren't familiar with AWS, much bigger than what Microsoft Azure platform has, as well as Google Cloud. So Amazon could come out with some pretty decent earnings just because a large part of their business is made up of AWS. So that could be why the stock's actually up around 1%. So for all of you Amazon bulls, that could be very interesting to watch when we hear Amazon's earnings that will actually be coming out Thursday. And I will be reacting to Amazon's earnings just like I am today on Thursday. I'll be live at 3:45 p.m. Eastern time. So make sure that you hit the subscribe button, hit that notification bell to get notified when I do go live. I would love to see you guys there. And can't wait to see you. Can't wait to see you. There's your Amazon move. Let's check back in on a couple other ones that are reporting today. And if there's others that you guys would like me to take a look at, I will be happy to. But these are the top 5 that I thought was worth taking a look at. Visa's CEO comes out and says on their stock, if you guys weren't here when I reported these earnings, they actually beat pretty solidly. Stock was up around 3%, now only up around 1%. Quoting a quote from the CEO here, consumers are back on the road, visiting various corners of the world, resulting in cross-border travel volume surpassing 2019 levels for the first time since the pandemic began in early 2020. So people are still out there spending money, and they're still revenge traveling, I guess, if that's a word, because, from the lockdown and from COVID and everything else. It's not just the U.S., right? And he's talking about globally seeing an increase there in spending and in travel. If you guys missed those numbers, they came in at $1.98 versus $1.74 expectations. $7.3 billion versus the 7.06 is what Visa came in at. So really solid numbers in my opinion. I really like that. Really like Visa. Texas Instruments, somebody was asking about. Let's take a look at that. Texas. I always forget their ticker symbol. There it is. TXN is up after hours. That's up 3%. Let's see if I can find those numbers for you real quick. Came in $5.21 billion versus the $4.55 billion was the expectation. So really solid beat on revenue. $2.40 versus the $2.12 that was expected. Q3 revenue looks like it came just kind of in line with expectations there. 4.9 billion to 5.3 billion in Q3 revenue for the guidance there. The estimate was around 4.94, so it's on the higher end. So that could be good there. Sales, earnings per share for Q3 guidance is $2.23 to $2.51. The estimate there was $2.26, so also on the high side on those expectations for guidance as well. Pretty solid beat for Texas Instruments, and you can see that the stock's also being rewarded. That stock is now up 3.5%. So pretty good stuff there. Pretty good stuff. Check back in with Alphabet. And it is up 2.5%. Really on an earnings miss. Let's see if I can find some good reasons as to why it's actually up. Here's a good tidbit information. Google acquired YouTube for $1.65 billion back in October of 2006. I was actually using YouTube back then. And just Q2 of 2022, YouTube brought in $7.34 billion in revenue from ads alone. Think about that. They acquired YouTube for $1.65 billion back in 2006. They just brought in $7.34 billion of revenue from ads. That is wild. What a wild statistic. Crazy number. Crazy number. Google's the number one YouTube search engine in the world. And Google's the number one search engine in the world, and YouTube's number 2. So just some pretty crazy numbers, some fun numbers there. All right, so stocks moving up there as well. Guys, we're getting ready to come up on that time of the day where we can check out some stocks, some of your favorite stocks. Maybe they're not your favorite. Maybe you just want to know what's going on with X stock. It's shit or legit time. Put it in the chat if you would like me to determine whether or not the stock that you're looking at is shit or legit. Put SOL in the chat. And today's SOL segment has been brought to you by Seeking Alpha. Go to Seeking Alpha, and because you're just watching today's show, you'll get $40 off the annual subscription to Seeking Alpha. It's a great platform. It's a great, some really nice tools, some good analysis that you can't really get anywhere else. And it's community driven as well. So go check it out, seekingalpha.com. The link is in the chat. Would love for you guys to go check that out. Help support the channel. You get $40 off annual subscription, and you also get a great product out of it as well. All right, so you guys, I love you guys. All right, so shit or legit? Housekeeping's got it. ADM. He's first one in there. ADM. Stocks up, moved up 4% today. Let's see. So overall performance for the year on ADM, Archer Daniels, is actually up 16.25%. Is agricultural stock company. This is your 5-minute chart. Let's take a look at the daily. By the way, guys, if you don't mind, there's 525 of you guys watching. I certainly would appreciate a thumbs up. Help support the channel. Put that thumbs up. There's 179 likes in here. I think we can do a lot better than that. Give me a thumbs up if you guys were appreciative of the earnings reaction. And come back tomorrow at 3:45 p.m. Eastern time as well to react to Meta Platforms and so many other big companies that are going to be reporting after hours as well. ADM, Archer Daniels, is legit. In a time where we're looking at Inflation numbers still high. Yes, we've seen some peaks in certain areas, but it's still high. And fears of recession. Listen, Archer Daniels is still going to do just fine. Pricing power is stocks and companies that have pricing power are going to be just fine. Stocks corrected quite a bit here from $98.43 highs back in April, came all the way down as low as around $70 per share, and has started to move back up. Closed today over the 200-day moving average for the first time in about a few weeks, and actually looks pretty solid here. I like the stock, and I think the Archer Daniels is still one to own. So I like that one. Housekeeping. Crowdstrike asks Buzz Jones, "What's up, Buzz?" Such a good wrestling name. All right, Crowdstrike is holding that 50-day moving average. Here's the thing. So a lot of people are afraid of something like Crowdstrike because the valuation of this is sky high. And I'm not going to shy away from that. They're trading at 140 times next year's earnings. It's insane. All right. But the one thing that we have to understand is that the investors are willing to pay a premium for something like cybersecurity right now, especially because of what's going on with Russia. And yes, it's still very much a threat. I work in an area where Russia is trying to hack us all of the time. And I was actually blown away at how much that actually happens. So to me, I think that cybersecurity in general, not just CrowdStrike, but Okta and many others, Palo Alto, so many other ones are also worth taking a look at, even though they all have high valuations as well. The growth story here, I think, is significant enough for me to say that CrowdStrike is legit. Nvidia, the semiconductor space has been very interesting lately. You know, we've seen some ups and downs. We saw NXP reported yesterday; they actually crushed it, and really the semiconductors in general have been doing really well. Yet the stocks continue to come down. That to me um, indicates that I think that this at least deserves a look. Nvidia isn't going anywhere either. It may be tough in the short term, but if you have a long-term approach on Nvidia, you're going to make a lot of money here at 165. That's just my opinion. Not telling you to buy it, but I just think that Nvidia is just too strong of a company. It's come down to a level where its forward PE is the lowest that it's ever been since it's been a publicly traded company. Think about that. So Nvidia is legit. Carnival Cruise Line. Oh man. Finally, one that I get to say is absolute shit. TCL. So, if you guys didn't catch Carnival Cruise, they actually came out with $1 billion offering just recently. The stock's continuing to come down. The problem with Carnival Cruise, and I've been saying this since the start of the pandemic. Remember when the cruises went absolutely ape shit, and I was like, God, this is not going to end well. Shit ton of dilution. They're taking out all kinds of convertible debt just to stay afloat. No pun intended. Or maybe it was. Looking at this one, they have their debt outweighs their market cap. Their debt outweighs their market cap. The convertible debt outweighs their market cap. This is going to keep going down, folks. $10 billion market cap. Their convertible debt is somewhere in the vicinity of around 15 billion. So that is insane. This is going to get diluted to the ground, and it already is. They came out with, as I'd mentioned, another $1 billion offering just the other week, or was it last week or earlier this last week? I think it was. So, this is absolute shit. If first of all, I would stay away from the cruise lines in general if it were me. If I was going to go after one, though, the best balance sheet out of all of the three major ones, that's Norwegian, Royal Caribbean, and Carnival. Royal Caribbean's the better one to go after. Hey, motherfucker, I need my donut. Where are my donuts? I threw the donuts. They're gone. They're in the trash. Where are the donuts? I need them now. That's what happens when Peter's got 2 hours of sleep. Oh my God. I was hoarding all the donuts, by the way. Entenmann's donuts. The best donuts you could buy that aren't fresh. This is where I work, people. Sofi. You know, this one hurts my heart. Sofi does. This one hurts my heart. You know why? Because I own it for one, but they're such a good company. They're growing like crazy. I think that for right now, SoFi is shit. One of the big reasons why is because they're not making any money. Like they're still operating for a loss, and that's still going to be a huge problem in the environment that we're in right now. We're going to see most likely at least a 75 basis point rate hike tomorrow from the Fed, and that does no favors for companies like SoFi that aren't making any money and or I should say not profitable. They're making money. They're just spending more than they're making. So, for me, I think that this is shit for now, but I still hang on to SoFi. I still like it, and I'm still hanging on to it long term. It will be okay. The growth is substantial. I love the company. I absolutely love it. But for right now, it's shit. As much as it pains me to say it, and I own it. PayPal. This has also been one that has been, I guess, inappropriately shit on. It deserved to come down. It was at $310 a share back in August of 21 and has done nothing but go down ever since. Here's the bottom of this. That is insane. $67.58. And just to give you context, this is lower than the pandemic low. The pandemic low is right here. Here's your weekly chart. Pandemic low is at $93 a share. It closed the day at 77 bucks and came down as low as 67. Let's go back to the daily. It's legit. Okay. I think even in the short term that PayPal actually turns this around. You're going to tell me that PayPal isn't worth as much now as it was, at the pandemic low, or even just in 2019? Nah, bro. I can't buy into that. I can't. Shopify. They have earnings tomorrow. This will be an interesting one. Let's see what the expected earnings per share tomorrow are. Because Shop been real bad. Over the last year, it's down 80%. Year to date, we're down 76.85%. Expected earnings per share for them tomorrow is a loss of 12 cents, $1.33 billion in revenue. Right now, it's trading at a PE of 389 times next year's earnings. It's shit. It's shit. I think it just keeps going down. I just do. The company is good. I just think it's still overpriced. All right. So there's PayPal, Airbnb. We'll do Airbnb. We'll do a couple more. I appreciate you guys hanging around. For those of you who are new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button. I'll be back here around 3:45 p.m. Eastern time tomorrow to react to other earnings as well. I am certainly looking forward to that. Let me just give you the rundown of those earnings before I get into my thoughts on Airbnb. Airbnb, their estimated, or the Airbnb is, we'll talk about that in a second. Hold on. I got sidetracked. Tomorrow's earnings will be out, and we're going to be reacting to Medify, Ford, Qualcomm, Teladoc, and Etsy. There's a couple other ones as well, QuantumScape, in case that interests anybody, but those are the big ones that we'll be reacting to tomorrow. So really looking forward to that. Airbnb to me is legit. It is a little bit overpriced just from a fundamental standpoint, but I think that the way that this has come down has just been too much. The growth is substantial and they're not going anywhere. I think this is going to be a fantastic stock to own in the years to come. But even in the short term, we just heard from Visa about travel and what's going on there. And Airbnb is also in that same boat. We're still seeing things open up as a result of or from the pandemic. I know that a lot of people think that it's over, and it's not really over, especially in a lot of other areas. So this to me is legit. I like Airbnb here, and full disclosure, I own it. Don't want anybody to think that I'm pulling a fast one on them, but I do own it. So that is it for Airbnb. Cream says, just be safe and do JP Morgan and T Rowe. I used to work for T Rowe. Both solid companies, but they're not safe. They're not safe. Oh, did I say Medify is reporting? Oh my God, that's hilarious. Zero Blue Ox. Thanks for that catch. Meta Platforms. That's going to be really tough for me. That's going to be really tough. Thank you for catching that. That is hilarious. All right. So there you have it, guys. I appreciate you tuning in today. That's going to do it for these earnings. This was fantastic. I had a ton of fun. Thank you so much for hanging out. We'll be back and do this tomorrow. Again, 3:45 p.m. Eastern time. Make sure that you check out Seeking Alpha as well. You get $40 off just for watching today's show. $40 right off the top for the yearly subscription. It's a great platform. You want to get all your news, your daily analysis on all your favorite stuff, and like a tons of information. I literally used the Seeking Alpha today for a lot of the things that I was putting out. A lot of the information that I was putting out today was from Seeking Alpha. So go check them out. Help support the channel. And I'll see you guys back again tomorrow. Let's run it back, baby. Have a great night. Bye.